Hello, everyone. My name is Galen Wixson. I'm president and CEO of the Lubbock Symphony, here with another installment of ClefNotes. Today, we'll be talking about our Masterworks 5 concert taking place at Buddy Holly Hall on April 5th at 7:30 p.m. And today, to talk with me about this really incredible concert is our friend, Amanda Key. Hi, Amanda.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Of course. Amanda, what will you be doing in this next concert?
So I will be singing the soprano solo for Carmina Burana.
Carmina Burana. You know, it's just, you say the words and everybody kind of immediately goes to O Fortuna and a few other elements in that piece.
Everybody knows O Fortuna.
Yeah, and the reason why in Lubbock this is so endearing, I guess, is because it's played at third down, right? And so the band launches into O Fortuna, and the suspense builds. Will they make first down? And so that's why everybody knows this.
Absolutely,
tune. Yeah, it's
yes.
so much fun. And so that will be sprinkled among the action. Before I get into the Carmina, though, just to let everybody know, we'll be opening the entire concert with a rather short symphony by Erwin Schulhoff. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that name. That name always is, I'm not sure if it's Schulhoff or Schulhoff. But anyway, this piece was written in 1935. And it should be a really interesting counterpart to the Carmina, which was written around the same time, around 1935, 1936. So we're really looking forward to this concert. David Cho will be conducting. Our other soloists for the evening include the tenor Martin Beccari and the bass Mark Billy. And they will be flying in next week and joining us on stage. So we're really excited to have them with us. So this piece was composed, like I said, around 1935, 1936 by a man named Carl Orff. Do you know anything about Carl?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Tell us a bit.
Well, I mean, one of his mentors, or at least who he looked up to, was Stravinsky.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah, and in fact, the Carmina was actually written as a ballet or a dance work.
Well, definitely from one of the works from Stravinsky definitely helped him write it in the way that he wanted to, because it was such a rhythmic
And of course,
piece.
Stravinsky had all those kind of motoristic things going on in his ballet music.
Absolutely.
Which one was Orff inspired by? Do you remember? I don't know.
I forgot the name of
Might
it.
have been
but
right or...
I forgot the name of it, but
that's okay.
But it was one of the pieces from Stravinsky that inspired him to write this, and he actually found these poems. 24 of the poems from Carmina Burana that he put together, kind of in a medieval Latin, really old French, really old German, kind of a poetic medieval languages.
Right, and it was called the Carmina Burana
Yes.
in our English translation. 254 poems and dramatic texts in this book, and so somehow.
And he
Orff
picked 24 of them.
24, which
Yes.
would have been an overwhelming experience to try to boil this down to something musical.
Right, and they're all secular. Normally, when we sing in Latin as a soprano, it's normally religious Latin texts.
Right, interesting.
And this time we're singing Latin, very secular music.
And so, what was he trying to carry off in this piece? It's unusual.
It is unusual. And there's 5 kind of movements
Right,
that he kind of goes through, and O Fortuna starts with the Wheel of Fortune. Obviously not the game show that we know from Vanna White, and
Right, spin the wheel.
a little bit different. But the fate, the fortune, the good fortune, the bad fortune, the wheel of life, of the joys and the pains of love.
And so let's experience the magic of radio, because Clint Barrick promised me that he could slip in a few snippets today.
Wonderful.
So we're going to have just a moment here of O Fortuna. thank you for Clint for helping us with that. That's our first time doing that, so we hope it worked well. But O Fortuna is such an exciting and what a way to just set it off with a bang, right?
Well,
and
and
the
it's
whole thing goes
my
through that.
favorite piece. I've sung it in a choir before, but I'm also a percussionist.
Oh,
so
right.
for me, you have timpani, you have bass drum, snare drum, cymbals. You have
Oh,
6 percussionists going on all at the same
All
time.
at the same time.
And
Huge battery.
it's just a dream for somebody who is a percussionist and a singer.
And one of the more unusual instruments in the entire ensemble is this little guy sitting there with a banjo. And it's where did that come from? You know, banjo in this medieval text and all these things. And what an imagination Orff had
Oh, yes.
to work this out.
I mean, Orff actually told his publicist or his editor, he was like, you can destroy everything that I've created before Carmina Burana because it was such a masterpiece. He said, now begins my collection of works. And I tend to agree with him because it's such a masterpiece.
It is epic. Let's see. So one of the other things I wanted to cover, some of the topics, like you said earlier, the fortune, the fickleness of fortune and wealth. But there's also some, other lessons to be learned in this piece. Some of them a little racy, some of them a little more mundane. But in all, I guess it's just a kind of a moral tale, right? And sort of, how we get from A to Z and all the trials and tribulations in between. I think that's what he's trying to accomplish there.
I think so. And some of these poems were written by Goliads in the 12th century.
Right.
So he's taking, something from so long ago, medieval times, that's still true today, actually.
That's it, right?
Because you're still in the wheel of fortune. You're still dealing with the pains and the joys of love. And he also talks about, like, in the tavern, like gluttony and all these other aspects.
All the things that we are as humans, and
Right.
it never changes, really. Everything old is new again. And you mentioned all of the big percussion battery that we have. I guess when we get back to Stravinsky and his inspiration from Stravinsky is all of the rhythmic elements that kind of drive this thing forward. Even during the slow movements, there's still this kind of rhythmic.
I have a very slow movement in one of my solos in Tratina, and it's actually it kind of plays with the rhythm and goes back and forth from 3/4/4/4 type feeling, and he does that a lot throughout the piece. Kind of plays with the rhythm.
So I want everybody to experience this piece. So and at the very end of the first part, there is a little bit. It's very driving, called Very Dean. I'm shortening. I'm paraphrasing the title of that. Do you remember the entire title? Because I don't. No, it's okay. But we'll have a sample of this really quick. I want people to experience the drive, just to understand some of that rhythmic element that we're talking about. And so with that, again, I want to encourage everybody to come to Buddy Holly Hall April 5th. David Cho conducting the Lubbock Symphony. Our soloists will include our guest today, Amanda Key, the tenor Martin Beccari, and the bass Mark Billy, with our huge percussion battery, a couple of pianos, a banjo, and the entire Lubbock Symphony. So it's going to be a very exciting concert. There's one other thing about Carl Orff that people may not realize. He was a very famous pedagogue. I mean, he was a very famous educator, and he wrote something called the Schoolwork. Do you know anything about the Orff Schoolwork? So he really developed this text for the classroom that involves music, movement, and drama. And as you and I maybe remember as elementary school kids, our music teachers would have us doing these sorts of things in the classroom to sort of assimilate music into our daily lives, and the movement that we did and the steps that we learned. And that comes from Carl Orff. I mean, that he sort of envisioned that this whole thing could be educational and enriching. And so good on him for giving us the Orff Schoolwork. And now we have something called the Orff Could Die Association, and they really do continue to promote and teach other teachers how to use Orff's work. So thank you, Carl Orff, for all of your wonderful work. Anything else you want to add before we leave today?
Well, that's really interesting because Carmina Burana was actually meant to be a scenic cantata.
Mm-hmm. What does that mean?
Well, he wanted it to have also movement, like you were just talking about, with costumes, plus acting, plus
pageant kind of maybe
with the movement. And
yeah.
and in Germany, I think they I don't remember what year it was, like 1938, something like that. They created one that had a beautiful background, scenic, background with costumes and movement. And I think even somebody created something like a ballet.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And
So
this is often
it's interesting
staged,
that you say that he did this entire movement. Yeah, it's quite interesting.
Yeah, and ballet companies often stage this.
Yes.
And they'll put the orchestra either in the pit or behind the dancers on the stage. It's
Yes,
a really interesting,
and so
beautiful
it says that
presentation.
he was intending it to be kind of a scenic cantata.
Interesting. Well,
Yeah.
this will be epic. I'm just really looking forward to this. We've been waiting for this all year. Again on April 5th at Buddy Holly Hall. To get tickets, please go to our website, LubbockSymphony.org, or give us a call, 806-762-1688. So, Amanda, do you have any favorite works within this huge, epic piece of Carl Orff's?
So actually, my favorite soprano solo is Dulcissime, and the soprano. It's actually a very short piece, but quite seductive. She says, "Sweetest one, I give myself wholly to you."
Whoa.
And it's roughly translated from this medieval poetic Latin text.
That's beautiful.
But it goes up to the very heights of what sopranos sing, up to the D. And it's just the most seductive music. Very short.
Let's have a listen to that. Before I wrap up, this will be the end of our Masterwork season this year. We will have one more Pops concert on June 7th. This will be the concert, a tribute to ABBA. We'll have a group from Denmark joining the Lubbock Symphony on stage at the Buddy Holly Hall. Again, that's on June 7th. You won't want to miss it. You'll have to wear your disco outfit, Amanda, and join us for some great
ABBA.
disco music.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So thank you again for joining us, and thank you everyone for listening to us today on ClefNotes.